He reviewed the memos before its release and the Democrats' response. Congressman, I thought we lost you for a second. I'm glad you're back.
No, I'm here.
Good. All right. So you tweeted after the memo's release, there's as much truth in this memo, in quotes, as there is in a typical Donald Trump tweet. The American people are not going to be fooled. Democrats will make sure the full truth gets out. Democrats did not want this to happen. They had their own memo. How did Democrats do that?
Well, I think first, let's remember, and it's important to remind your viewers, this is not an intelligence document. This was a document crafted by Devin Nunes, his staff. This is a person who was so partisan that he was removed from leading the investigation. And it's purported to be a summary of documents that he's never even read. So it's like asking someone who's never read a book to do a book report. On the other hand, Adam Schiff, the ranking member of the Intelligence Committee, has actually read the underlying documents, has detailed the omissions and the inaccuracies of this purported summary. They voted to keep that secret, to not let the Americans see this. It's really important to remember this is part of a larger effort by the Republicans in Congress and the White House to undermine this investigation, to set the stage for the firing of Rob Rosenstein and Robert Mueller, to stop the investigation so the American people never learn the truth. And we should understand that's what this is. This is about interfering with and ultimately stopping this very serious investigation, which is underway about collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians and obstruction of justice. We've seen ample evidence of both. Now we see our Republican colleagues really aiding and abetting this process. It's a really, really sad day for our country.
If Democrats want their own memo released, how do Democrats do that if they're not in the majority?
Well, I think there's going to be a vote of the Intelligence Committee. I think there's going to be significant public pressure. People will want to see an actual memorandum prepared by someone who actually read the underlying classified documents to set the record straight. I think the Republicans are eventually going to have to surrender to public pressure and release the Democratic memorandum. They should have been released together. But, you know, we're at a very sad point. We've politicized the important collection of intelligence, the very serious work of the FBI and the Department of Justice, incredible professionals. But the president has been on a campaign to undermine this investigation since it began. Now he wants to get rid of the leaders of the investigation with the ultimate goal of stopping it, so the American people will never actually know what happened and he can continue to serve as our president. We can't allow that to happen.
If transparency is the goal, is there any discussion whatsoever about releasing even very highly redacted versions of the underlying documents so that the American public can take a look for themselves and see where this Nunes memo is coming from and where potentially, if this gets released, the Democratic memo? Would you support that?
Well, I think people should read very carefully Adam Schiff's statement that explains as much as he can.
Essentially, these are just dueling statements. This is a statement from Nunes, essentially a press release from Nunes and a press release from Adam Schiff. I mean, the underlying documents are going to was at play in getting a FISA warrant for Carter Page. Right. Obviously, that is extraordinarily sensitive. It's classified information. Right. But is there a version of which, a heavily redacted version, that you would support the American public seeing so that they can get to the truth of this? Because right now, it is very muddy, it is a lot of noise, and it's hard to tell from just a layman's standpoint who is playing politics here. It seems like everybody is playing politics. Maybe you can argue the Republicans are playing more politics than the Democrats.
No,
but there's a lot
I have to push back hard on that, Katie. Katie, I have to put back hard on that. Look, Devin Nunes has already displayed he's a partisan. He was removed from leading the investigation because of his shenanigans at the White House. The difference is Adam Schiff is deeply respected. He's actually read the underlying documents. So I think if they agree to release the Democratic memorandum that goes through this point by point, this will be very, very clear. I don't think it's confusing anybody. Anyone who's paying attention, this is about undermining an ongoing investigation that's getting closer and closer to the President of the United States. And certainly I think we always have to keep in mind how important it is to protect our intelligence services, to protect the work they do to keep us safe. So the releasing of highly classified documents that you're suggesting, I think would be hard to do. I think if we release the Democratic...
I'm asking the question. I'm not suggesting.
Yeah, I think it would be hard to do. I mean, obviously you'd have to see it, but this is very, very important in terms of our ability to keep the American people safe, to continue to have partnerships with our allies. So I think if you read the Adam Schiff memorandum, if the American people get that in full transparency and they recognize Adam Schiff's integrity and how he's handled this investigation, there will be no question in anyone's mind what's going on here. This is a blatant political attempt to shut down an investigation that's getting closer and closer to the President of the United States.
Rhode Island Democratic Congressman David Cicilline, our Congressman, excuse me.